Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to be joined by the Crypto Stache to answer the most common questions about NFTs, an NFT FAQ, if you will. So sit back, grab your coffee or favorite beverage, and let's get straight to it. And by the way, subscribe down below and hit the notification button if you don't want to miss the next video. Let's get straight to it. Are NFTs bad for the environment?
100% no.
100% no. Why?
I think that there's a perceived notion that if there were no NFTs, that Ethereum would just stop existing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the case. Just like all of the power that like the Visa network requires to operate globally, it just wouldn't. It's like, oh, okay, if people just stopped using their credit cards, like or a couple of people here did, like then it would it would just stop functioning, and then we'd get all that power back. Ethereum is not going anywhere. The network's not going anywhere. The amount of power to run it is not going to change regardless of NFTs being on it or not. So NFTs inherently are not necessarily bad for the environment. And then the notion that even Ethereum itself is bad for the environment or a proof of work coin is, I think a lot of people don't understand how much renewable energy is actually used to kind of power a lot of these networks. And so when people say, oh, it uses so much energy and blah, blah, when you compare it to things like, oh, a small country, but, compare it to other antiquated systems that are so dilapidated and so one-sided and completely screwing over most consumers, I'll take the power consumption of Ethereum or Bitcoin over those antiquated, horrible systems that are keeping us entrenched any day. So that's my answer right there.
All right. Are NFTs worth anything?
It's all in the eye of the beholder. I mean, it really depends on what NFT you have and who may want that NFT. Just like anything else, or is the dollar really worth anything? Is it really? It's not. I mean, it's not backed by gold anymore. It's not like you can go get some gold for it. So what is the dollar worth? So you can ask that question about pretty much anything in the world. But it really comes down to, well, if it's worth something to you and it's worth something to somebody else, then you have an ability and an option to sell to that person for some sort of monetary value, then it has worth, Now there's obviously NFTs out there that don't, and maybe nobody wants to buy them. I have a bunch of those, So I think that the worth of something really comes down to, a lot of those factors we talked about before. Is there a community behind it? Or is there people that are a team that's actively developing it? Is there a utility behind this token or this NFT that gives you something, right? Some sort of use case. Can you use it for something? So yeah, I mean, NFTs definitely have value. It just depends on how they're used and how you use them.
All right. Are NFTs a good investment?
Not every NFT, I would say that for sure. It's finding the ones that, like I said, have a lot of those factors we talked about here earlier. And, sometimes it's luck too. There's ones where I thought, like, I did my research, like, man, they have a great community. The team they have a good team. They have a roadmap that looks really killer. But then for some reason, the NFTs just don't go crazy in price, So I think that it really requires, a bit of research, a bit of luck. And those two things combined together, I think that they kind of make for a good hold, right, for something. But it's not always the easiest thing to determine.
Are NFTs copyright?
Do you mean inherently copywritten? Like once you create them, then that gives you a copyright?
Hey, I just got the question. I have no idea.
I mean, that's a big point of contention with NFTs. So we've seen, a lot of projects copy things like CryptoPunks. This has been one of the ones that have been copied time and time again. There's been like Binance Punks. I remember when they first came out and it was like, oh, well, we just stole the art from the exact same art, same attributes, everything. We just stick it on Binance. It's not the same team. And like, well, you literally just stole their stuff. Well, did they have a copyright for their original stuff? Well, no, they didn't. But that doesn't mean that it's okay to just go rip off somebody else's artwork or somebody else's generative, art. And so copyright is one of those big things, but it's rampant on the internet regardless. You see all of your favorite and popular memes. Most of those a lot of those images were probably ripped from somebody who originally took the photo, gets no credit for it, and gets no money for it anytime it's used in any kind of situation or purpose, right? So one of the good examples of that is the older gentleman with the white beard, and he's got the coffin. He's like, hey, you know, and people use him all the time. And that was like a stock photo that somebody used for an original meme, and then people just kept, you know, over and over again. So like the guy who shot that photo got like one, maybe one person purchased it, and then now thousands and thousands of people have used it time and time again for a meme. And so, you know, I think that copyright is one of those very crazy, messed up things, in particular when it comes to the internet, with things that are creative, are so fluid, right? So easy to transact on the internet, to move things around. It's hard to keep track of something and say, that's my copyright, that's my copyright, you can't use that, you can't, you know, like it's almost impossible. So I think that, you know, NFTs, copywriting them doesn't necessarily make sense. It doesn't necessarily go along with the spirit of what I feel an NFT is. So, you know, I don't know how you would defend that, you know, of saying, hey, that's my copyright written NFT, you can't use it. You know, even you know, a project as big as CryptoPunks hasn't gone after anybody else saying you're infringing on our IP. And I think it just gets to a point like, why? You know, with other things, you know, like other fake copies of popular things, you know, it's a lot more difficult to understand and know it's a fake copy, right? A duped weapon from a game, a fake Gucci bag. These things are not easy to identify as being fake. But, you know, if you buy a CryptoPunk on Binance, I think that, you know, you can easily trace it back and know, okay, no, this doesn't go to the original CryptoPunk contract. It's not a real thing. It's fake. And so that's one of the benefits I think NFTs provide, is that whereas they're not like natively copywritten, they do provide this history that allows you to, you know, verify a lot of that data. And I think that's important.
So that gets me to that transition as well to my next question. Can NFTs be copyrighted?
I mean, just like anything else, they could. I mean, it's a work of art. Anything like that, you could, you know, copyright. I just, like I said, I just don't know. I don't see the real, true purpose to doing it. You know, I don't know how effective it would really be.
Okay. Are NFTs money laundering?
That's a great question. I mean, they could be, sure. I mean, anything, like anything that has, like, you could go and buy you know, Amazing Spider-Man #1 with a bunch of dirty money, and then, you know, use that to launder your money and then sell it again. And like, so, I mean, like any like you could do that with any asset. Sure. So, I mean, any asset I think could be used for money laundering. Are they natively used for it? Like, no, I don't think that's their intention or purpose, but people could do it. And, you know, the thing I think that maybe incentivizes some people to do a little bit more is the anonymity that could be provided with wallets. So you see people wash trading NFTs a lot. So that's one of those things, like I said, when you're looking at projects and doing research, you know, there are people who will wash trade NFTs to themselves to pump up the price of that NFT to then drop that bag on somebody else later. And it's like, you just sold the NFT to yourself 6 different times. And, you know, it's like, well, yeah, because now I you know, I raised the you know, price limit on that thing by, you know, 30 ETH by doing that or something, right? So there's some definitely devious tactics that happen behind the scenes, especially with some of these bigger blue chip NFTs. But I don't feel like natively that's what NFTs are about. So.
It's not. You know, it's funny though. I had a friend who's a multi-millionaire, and we were talking, and we have an argument about. We had an argument about Bitcoin back in the day, and then we're having an argument about NFTs. How I like NFTs. He doesn't. He didn't find. He's like, name one utility. Name one use case. One use case. I'm like, okay, money laundering. It was just silence. He couldn't say anything against because he can't prove it. It doesn't exist.
Right. I mean, and that is, I would say, I mean, it's a use case. I don't think it's.
I'm not saying it's a main use case, but
right. It's
the
an
only way to
intended
shut him up.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's something that could happen, but, you know, there's lots of utility for NFTs. Like I said, right now we're really just getting started. Yeah. So for someone to like take what we're doing right now in NFTs and say that's the end all be all, they're never going to go beyond what's happening right now. I think that's very, very short-sighted. And once again, that's the reason why they're not into it, because they're short-sighted individuals. They don't see the big picture. They don't see the long term. And then they will eventually, when their driver's license is an NFT, exactly, when the deed to their house is an NFT that they can easily and quickly trade instead of having to go through, you know, 60-day escrows and 5 million real estate agents and paying tons of fees. They'll know, and they'll get it then. And they may not even know that it's an NFT. That's the great thing about it, is it's technology that can easily you know, lie beyond the actual visual layer or comprehensive layer of people. You know, a lot of people use you know, all kinds of technology every single day. They don't know how it actually works inside. They just know you click on and then you scroll through Netflix
Yeah.
and you press play and boom. They don't know how the technology works. It doesn't matter. So if it was powered by NFTs and it just worked, they wouldn't care.
You know, Andreas Antonopoulos actually said that NFTs were around before they were called NFTs. They were called deeds. I think it was 2017, 2016 era. And then they developed into NFTs. But more about that another time.
Yeah. I mean, for sure. Like the concept of non-fungible tokens, you know, there were, you know, technically projects like CryptoPunks, they weren't really on an NFT as we consider them today. There was no standard for what an NFT actually was. And it's when those standards were introduced is when you really got a definition of an NFT, you know. So the ERC 721 was the very first standard for NFTs on Ethereum. And this kind of defined, well, what is a non-fungible token? You know, the kind of counterpoint to a fungible token like Bitcoin or Ethereum, where it's like every piece of Ethereum is just like every other piece of Ethereum. They're not unique, right? You know, one Ethereum is one Ethereum is one Ethereum.
So there's another question. What in the blue Smurf does fungible mean? I had that one further down, but I'm putting it up here because it was just a nice transition.
Yeah, so exactly what I just said. So fungible means that it's exactly the same as another piece of that same product. So you know, a dollar bill is fungible. Every dollar bill is the exact same as every dollar bill. It has the same exact value. They're produced the exact same way. They are spent the exact same way. You know, and so they're fungible. You can exchange $1 for another, and it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I guess you could say there's some edge cases of like, oh, this is a special rare dollar or something like that's a little bit different. Something like, you know, you could say that for coins, but in general, you know, one Bitcoin is exchanged for one Bitcoin, and there's no real difference between that Bitcoin. It's a fungible thing. It still transacts for the same value. It still has the exact same value, but you can't say the same thing about the house. Like I have this house over here, and you have a house, so like. You can just trade, like I'll take that house, you take this house, and it's like, well, your house is a 6-bedroom, 3-bath house, and my house is a 1-bedroom shack. But they're both houses, right? So it doesn't matter. We can just, but no, see, that's non-fungible, right? Those things are unique. They have unique attributes to them. They're not the same. They don't hold the same value, right?
Right. Can NFTs be screenshot? And this question I have it here and I kept it because I know there's a lot of people right now. Oh, I'm screenshotting you. Can NFTs be screenshot? What about that? Let's talk about that.
I mean, you could screenshot anything. You could screenshot this. You could screenshot this interview right now and make it an NFT. I've done that actually before.
Oh, really?
For different use cases.
Would you do it this time? It would be really cool for the channel.
We could totally do that.
Awesome.
So yeah, you know, can they be screenshot? Of course, anything can be. Anything on a freaking screen can be screenshotted. That doesn't mean that it holds any value. Like take your screenshot and then go try and sell it on OpenSea. Good luck. Have fun with that. There's no value there because there's no history there. It's not connected to anything. So where, you know, a lot of people that don't understand NFTs and are not in the industry and don't get it, they think that the value lies in the actual visual representation. And that's not where all the value lies. It's the combination of that visual representation that is tied to the data behind it. And if you don't have the data and you don't have the visual representation connected together, then that visual representation doesn't mean jack shit. It's not about the visual representation. It's that there's data behind it proving the provenance behind that particular image.
Yeah, like taking a picture of the Mona Lisa doesn't mean you have the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, you can screenshot that all day, man, then go try and sell that somewhere. It's not going to work. And it's the same thing here. So, you know, it's the fact that, yeah, you don't own the Mona Lisa. Everyone knows that. You can't prove it in any kind of way. They're like, oh, no, this is the real one, guys. Really, I swear. You know, it's just not going to work.
Where are NFTs stored? It's an easy one.
Well, it's not as easy as you think, actually. NFTs are stored in a lot of different ways. So some NFTs can be stored completely on chain. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of NFT, right. But there's a limited amount of data that can be stored, especially on things like Ethereum. You can only store so much data on chain where it makes sense. Then other data for NFTs can be stored on decentralized, locations like IPFS, right? Which is one of the most popular places to store a lot of this information, in particular the info and the images. So there are multiple ways to store this data, but mostly what you're looking at is on-chain data. You're storing the metadata on chain, and then most of the time the image is stored somewhere else, like on IPFS or something like that. It may be hosted, but there is options to be able to actually have both the on-chain data and the actual image data being stored on chain, which is interesting. There's been a couple projects on Ethereum that have done that before.
So this interview, there's so much information coming from NFTs right now. I'm learning, people are learning. This is actually going quite awesome, man. Where can NFTs be used? What are some use cases for NFTs?
So, I mean, like I said, it really comes down to the NFT themselves, but my favorite use case for NFTs is in gaming projects. So there's a lot of great NFT games that have been, launched here over the last couple of years, and there's tons more in development. It is going to be a massive change for the gaming industry as a whole. I've been saying this for 4 years. NFTs and blockchain are going to revolutionize the gaming industry. And that's my favorite use case of like, where do I use NFTs? So, in particular, things like I love playing Gods Unchained. All of the cards that I own, they're all NFTs, and I play them in all my decks, and so I could sell them if I want to. Same thing with things like Splinterlands or Blancos. These are all great games that are NFT driven, and I can use my NFTs there. And play Blancos. I buy an NFT of like some NFT wearables that give me some horns for my character. Boom, I'm using that NFT. Same thing like Decentraland or Sandbox. I can outfit my avatar with these cool NFTs or use the NFTs to build my own experience in the sandbox, right? I can go into the sandbox's NFT marketplace and buy a bunch of really cool NFTs and then build a cool game with them. So there's a lot of ways to use NFTs. I think that a lot of people just don't scratch deep enough, right? They just go surface level and they're just like, man.
All right, I'm gonna give you 5 more, okay? How do NFT drops work?
NFT drops work differently on every platform. So, it really depends on what platform you're on. Most people are probably familiar with Ethereum. So, a lot of times what's happening with that is it's, minted through a contract. People, have whitelists. Maybe you get on those early. There's pre-mints, but you're essentially just going to a website and hitting a mint button, and it's initiating a contract interaction with your wallet, usually a MetaMask. And they're limited, so you're jumping in. So and then there's massive gas fees to pay if you're on Ethereum, but there are other ways to do drops and like that. So like on Wax, things work a little bit differently. So we have there's really great marketplaces that allow you to do drops natively within their interface, so you can set it all up through them, and you don't have to have your own standalone website, and you can do all kinds of cool functions. Wax has so much more functionality than Ethereum. It's not even funny. Really? They are also the top blockchain by volume as well. A lot of people don't know that. By volume of transactions, not necessarily by volume of actual money that they're going through. So Ethereum processes far less transactions per day than Wax does. I think it's maybe like even 10x at this point. So the Wax blockchain is the most active blockchain in the world, and there's a ton going on there. And the NFT functions for doing drops on there are much more advanced than any other blockchain out there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny. Joe Calm, I know he loves Wax. He actually is a friend of mine. He actually wrote the forward for my book, The Crypto Factor. He loves Wax. He talks about Wax all the time.
Yeah. Me and Joe are friends. Yeah, I mean, we've known each other
He's
since
awesome. He is awesome. He's awesome.
Since he launched his first product on Wax, man. I knew him and Travis. I'd been acquainted with them before they were really even into NFTs, man. They weren't even into NFTs until Wax kind of came around, and so that was kind of the jumping off point for them. So
it's awesome.
They definitely done well there.
Okay. What NFT should I buy? You have to admit that's a good one.
What NFT should you buy? Me personally, I would buy things that have utility.
Yeah.
Things that, NFTs that give you some sort of use case, not just like, oh, it's cool and you're part of our community. And, the latest one was like, we may be building something in the sandbox, so like cool experience. Like that's cool, but buying an NFT just to kind of get that, like, is maybe not enough for me. I want real, true utility. I want there to be some passive income maybe that I can get with that NFT. Like I hold some art punks on Solana. That gives me, residuals from market sales. I'm getting Solana every single day from a little bit cut of the fees that the royalties, and other things like having actual in-game utility, right? Like we were talking about before. Like I like to buy things that have utility. So me personally, buy NFTs that have utility that you can actually do something with them.
All right, and the question after that is something that might relate, might not, but which NFT sells best? And I guess it's a bit debatable too, but
I mean, it's totally debatable. Which sells the best? I mean, I would say always the most popular sells the best, right? So
right.
you look at things like Bored Apes and CryptoPunks and CyberKongs and some of the other top tier type of NFTs. I would say that the popularity that they have gained, affords them to be ones that do the best in the marketplaces. So I mean, yeah, it really kind of just depends, but I think that it changes all the time. Like whatever's popular, whatever's trendy at the time, whatever everybody else is jumping on board seems to always be filling that gap. So look for trends, I guess.
All right. I'm gonna give you one more question and one big question. So because I think I've really bombarded you with questions about NFTs, but these are questions that people are asking. They're looking for the answers. And I just had to take the opportunity because you're an expert. You know NFTs more than anybody else that I know of, right? So I figured
I got all the answers, man, all of them.
Yeah, it's awesome. I learned a lot as well. And imagine, I was in top management of Mintable.app. I wrote the sellers. I did the sellers university with the CEO. I did the marketing and sales part, the copy and everything. Of course, that's what I teach. And there's a lot of this stuff that you told me that I didn't. I thought I knew the answer to, but I didn't. And that's why I love talking with you, man. It was really cool. So how do you make passive income with NFTs? Because this is something you mentioned, but a lot of people wonder and a lot of people want to do it. Let's say I was starting out right now. Okay, I'm Paul. Okay, and I have, I don't know, $3,000 or $1,000 or $5,000, whatever amount you want. I don't know if it changes. How would I make passive income from NFTs?
Well, these are properties of the NFTs are given. So it's not like every NFT just creates passive income. It really comes down to the roadmap of that particular project. But some of the popular methods that we've seen is holding X NFT, you get X amount of our native token every day because you're a holder. And so like an example of that is like CyberKongs, very popular project. These OG CyberKongs are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars right now. And what they do is every day they're generating a certain amount of banana tokens. And then these banana tokens can then be, traded or used for other things. They're going to have use cases in future CyberKong stuff. And so you're earning passive income through that. Then some other things we've seen is that where if you hold this NFT, you get a percentage of the royalty fees from any marketplace sales. So every time people are buying and selling things in a marketplace, all the holders will say are getting 10% of all of those fees daily. So then you get your percentage of that 10%, right? So you're earning some cryptocurrency possibly every day. Who knows, depending on obviously how well sales are going and things like that.
Can you give an example of an NFT that does that?
So I referred to earlier. So Art Punks, yeah. So they do that, and they're a pretty interesting project, and it's a derivative project. And usually I'm not like big on board with like things that have used other people's arts, but the way they actually went about it, I think was actually pretty unique. They didn't just like straight take CryptoPunks art and like use it and say, hey, it's CryptoPunks, but on Solana. And so they did some really cool things with it. And so owning one of those gives you passive income where you're earning some of those you're earning actually Solana, you're earning SOL, not a native token, but you're earning SOL from the royalty fees that from the marketplaces. And so there's quite a few that do that now. I'm not sure what the floor is right now. Actually, I'm kind of a little bit of a long-term hodler on those things because, like I said, they're just just generating me some SOL right now. Like I guess I could sell it for a profit at some point, but I'm just I'm just making that passive income, man. And it's like why get rid of it?
That's awesome. Okay. NFT predictions. What if people have just watched the entire interview with all these questions answered? I'm sure a lot of people want to get into NFTs watching this. A lot of people had their questions answered. A lot of people want to know, okay, how do I get in? If I got in, what are 3 projects that maybe new, maybe people don't know about that you can not advise, it's a bad word. 3 projects you think will do very well.
So I will say that, looking at NFTs and some of the projects that I think are going to do really well, my number one is probably the Sandbox. Sandbox is a whole ecosystem of creativity, of being able to make experiences, make games. And there have been a ton of NFTs that have launched there outside of the land. So buying land NFTs there, I think is a really great idea for future long-term growth. So Sandbox is definitely one of my number ones. I love that project. I
The
love what they're
land or the
doing.
token, or the token, or both?
I mean, honestly, both. But we're talking about NFTs here, so there's land NFTs, and then there's also other NFTs that are like avatars, wearables, decoration items. So, like I said, people can create these NFTs and then sell them in their marketplace to make money. And then other people use them inside their game experiences or inside their social experience, or to build out their property to make it look cool, like their house or whatever, So there, I think that there's a lot of opportunity to find NFTs there that are going to be very valuable here in the future. Like an example is Snoop Dogg. He created an NFT that is like his private party pass. And so if you hold this NFT, it'll give you access to his private metaverse parties that he's going to hold in the sandbox in the future, And so like cool things like that. So those NFTs you could speculate on and say, hey, I think these are going to go up in value because a lot more people are going to be coming into the sandbox, which I think is the case. And so I think Sandbox is definitely one of my number ones. Looking at some other things, really metaverse focused or gaming focused is really where I'm kind of always, leaning towards. Once again, I do like things that have passive income. So, there's some really cool things that are going on in Solana right now. And one of those is with a project called Shadowy Supercoders. And this is a project that is by Genesis Go. And they're actually they run some critical infrastructure for Solana's network. And so they have a really good structure of what they're doing. And this is also an NFT that earns passive income. And I think the way that they're kind of setting things up here for the future makes a lot of sense. So really, really bullish on that project. And then, on the gaming side of things, I will say that there are some really cool projects that are coming up. One of my favorites that is looking to be launching, or a couple favorites actually I'm going to put out here, Star Atlas, super bullish on that game. Illuvium, so much going on there, and lots of NFTs that are coming up for sale, in particular their land sales coming up very soon. And then another game called Phantom Galaxies is coming up. There's a Walking Dead game that's being launched on Gala Games, where I just grabbed some land in as well. So I think all these things, they're the gaming sector, you really just, if you find a quality product, you can't go wrong if it's a, high quality product coming from a really good development studio.
But what if somebody has like a couple of $1,000s? Is this something they can buy land with? Maybe Gala, right? Yeah, I'm not sure what the prices there are now. But
yeah, all the projects I just mentioned are things that you can probably get in around that couple $1,000 range. Okay, so all the things kind of have options there to be able to do that. Now, obviously, I think Sandbox will probably be on the higher range of that, but still, still affordable.
Awesome, man. And finally, and because I like when I invest.
That last one was the final question. Now, but this was the final. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Because when I like to invest, I like to look at people. I mean, I saw Ivan on Tech when he started. I'm like, that guy's gonna go huge. Okay, different people I see, and if somebody would want to invest in you in the crypto Stache, how can he invest in you? What kind of projects can he get into that are yours?
I mean, I would say really the biggest investment you can make is just follow me on YouTube, follow me on Theta or on Twitch, whichever is your platform of choice. I don't have like my own coin. I know there's a lot of people out there that do things like that. I don't have like a big project where like, hey, I'm doing this project. Now that's not to say that I'm not going to be, like I said, I always have things in the works.
Right.
So that's not to say that that's not going to be the case here in the future, but like I said, I think that, I would love for you to invest your time in my community, jump in my Discord. It doesn't cost anything. You don't have to go searching. You don't have to worry about it being that. But I mean, I do have NFTs on the Wax platform. I have NFTs on Ethereum that I've created and stuff like that. So if you really want like a piece of Stache history or something, you can find those. But really, my thing was I just go follow me and become a part of the community. That would really make my day.
And I advise you guys do. There's links right up here to check it out. Also down in the description below. Crypto Stache, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you did this, man. I really do. Thank you, man.
No worries. I had fun, man. You got some good questions there, and I hopefully I've answered some questions that the community has. And if you guys have any more, just like I said, jump in Discord and hang out with the rest of my Stashers. Awesome. And we'd love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take care. Goodbye. And yeah, subscribe down below if you like this interview with one of the best persons in the world. Subscribe down below and I'll see you in the next video.